my God. I didn't turn it on. Marshmallow, you get a prize. I didn't turn it on. I'm serious. I didn't turn it on. I'm sorry. You know what? I'm so sorry, guys. That goes to show you I'm a novice at this, right? I'm sorry. We got sound? Do we have sound? I think we got sound. We got sound. The whole purpose of me making this video, I just wanted to tell you guys thank you. And thank you for subscribing and thank you for the you know the camaraderie. But the purpose of me making this video was to to somewhat educate or even pass on my knowledge about ServSafe and the HVACR/restaurant business. Now, I noticed I didn't have any sound. Thank you guys. I didn't turn the button on, but it's a mistake that I promise I will not make again. It's embarrassing. But I'm not gonna cut the live off and redo it. But let's continue. I can recap actually what I said. I started in the HVAC business as an HVAC contractor. I went on to teaching HVAC, HVACR, which is actually, it involves low voltage, high voltage. But one thing that kind of pushed me into the food business was the nastiness, the filth. I used to clean ice machines. I used to clean shake machines, soda machines. I used to clean coils. What I saw in these ice machines stunned the crap out of me. When you go to a soda fountain and you put your cup, you put your, you select the type of soda, you select ice, and then you fill your cup. If that machine haven't been cleaned for the last, I would say, maybe 3 to 4 weeks, and especially in these sandwich shops that sell sandwiches that make their own bread, my goodness, you couldn't imagine what's behind that machine. It is amazing. When I used to open up these machines, what I used to see, the mold, the yeast, the caked up like a shake machine, the leftover milk, the spilled over milk. And I was like, wow, I can clean this stuff and just make people healthy again, right? Now, the FDA requires a person that if you are a restaurant manager, for you to understand these things, and most restaurant managers don't. They don't understand that the shake machine is dirty because they're not technicians. They're not going to open the stuff up and see what's going on. You see that very little thing that when you press it, it's called a bib. If you stick your finger in there from time to time, well, I'm not saying for you to do it, but hard water creates calcite. It gets hard. And I actually, myself, I would recommend every chain, every McDonald's, Burger King, and every should have an onboard technician, not some contractor that's going to come in every 6 months. Somebody who can clean these things every week or so. It's really bad. Ice machines, shake machines, cappuccino machines. Of course, I mean, they got someone, they'll clean it on the outside. But thank you, Marshmallow. It's something that I think the FDA should actually extend when it comes to ServSafe, because ServSafe, if you take a ServSafe management test, these are the subjects that actually, as far as what they want you to actually know. I mean, the training, it's the importance of what? Food safety, good personal hygiene. What is that? Hand wash, washing your hands, making sure that you wash your hands for the 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, whichever. Time and temperature control. Well, what is that? We can get into that. Okay. Preventing cross contamination, cleaning and sanitizing, safe food preparation and receiving, storing food, methods of thawing, cooking, cooling, and reheating, and then the HACCP, which is the hazard analysis in critical points. I mean, I'm thinking, I hope America, we still have these things in place, because let me tell you something, you can kill somebody with a potato, a simple potato. I'm serious. You can do a baked potato at the end of the shift. Next thing you know, well, Susie left. Sarah's taking over. Sarah forgets, or Sarah didn't know the potatoes was in the stove, were in the stove. Someone gets fed. You feed that to somebody, botulism becomes a problem. It can kill somebody. Let's move on. Um, the we got okay, receiving and storing, methods of okay, safety regulations, and these things you have to know if you are a manager of food, a ServSafe manager. You got to know these things. Now, it's the book. If you read the book, it's going to get into temperature, understanding temperature. Okay. For instance, I have a lot of people who says to me, "Well, I can't understand the difference between when water freezes and the difference between um, how to keep food safe, the danger zone." All you have to do is take your time and study the book. And sometimes I tell people water freezes at 32 degrees, anything above 32, right? So if water freezes at 32, if you put a soda in the freezer, it's going to freeze. So anything above 32 would be refrigeration. You see the difference? I personally have a method that I use to refrigerate soda, and the customers, man, they go crazy when they crack a Coke. They're like, "Oh my God, it feels as if I'm drinking liquid ice." I hear that a lot. What I do is I use an ice cream freezer above 32 to refrigerate my drinks. It works. Oh yeah. An ice cream freezer can go down to 5 degrees. If you keep your sodas in a refrigerator, your sodas is only going to be what? Sort of like the ice cooler kind of thing. I keep my sodas in an ice cream freezer and manage I manage above 32. Sometimes the gauge would read different. The proof is in the pudding when the customer cracks that soda. Now, water boils at what? 212 degrees, right? What is the method that the British came out? They came out with BTUs. What is a BTU? British thermal unit. That's what they used. They didn't calculate it in air conditioning. They calculated it in heat. 1 BTU equals what? Anybody? 1 BTU is like when you boil water at 212 degrees, the next degree, which is 213, is a BTU. 1 BTU is boiling 1 pound of water, 1 degree, 1. Okay? A BTU is boiling water. You're boiling liquid to vapor. When that vapor starts to move, it's called displacement. I'm not expecting you guys to get into the engineering of temperature, but when you really get to the point that you understand what ServSafe, the ServSafe people, what they want you to understand is that if you do get to the point where you can explain it, it's a very fascinating. It's very fascinating. You can explain it, and you will be a perfect food manager slash handler. Okay, at what temperature? What temperature is danger zone? What if safe zone? Okay, what is safe zone? Well, 41 to 140 something. It all depends sometimes in ambient. For instance, okay, if you're making macaroni salad and you're making mac and cheese, you can store macaroni salad like you would store lettuce. You can refrigerate it, right? You can serve it cold. You can't serve mac and cheese cold. So that you have to keep that between 140 something because it's a hot meal. Those are the things that you have to understand. Okay? So temperature. TCS, temperature control. Anybody got any questions so far? Let's go back to the book. The book gets into the I'm just going to touch the points that are that's I don't want to do the stuff that's irrelevant to you, like hand wash. You already know how to wash your hands. The only thing is they want you to wash your hands longer and be able to understand. But to me, what's most important is, say, for instance, somebody gets sick, restrict, report illness, and exclude employees from work. I mean, you got a small restaurant that you got three people working, barely making it, and then that person catches the flu. What do you do by law? Well, just say it's a mom and pop business, right? Your wife catches a cold, and you're like, oh my God. By law, are you supposed to say quarantine your wife, or are you supposed to send your wife home? Oh, that's a decision. That would be a personal decision. You know what I mean? Let's move on to the next one. Holding and storage, properly holding hot or cold food, storing it in correct temperature. That macaroni analysis. Allergens, awareness, preventing cross-contamination, crossed major allergens, for instance, milk, eggs, fish. Let's talk about eggs for a minute. Let's stop with the eggs. When you are a cook and someone orders food, if you have the privilege of seeing that person, if you can actually have a visual on that person, right? And just say that person is in their 60s and they have a 5-year-old with them. This is something that the book don't show you. And that person orders eggs over easy, or they order sunny side up eggs. Whoa, okay. A 5-year-old and a 60 something year old. Because the book says if the person is if it's an elderly person, you might want to somewhat overcook that food to the point where if you're doing eggs, you don't want to have any liquid, anything that can cause a problem as far as salmonella. Okay. And then the 5-year old is, I would say, the same. This is a good analysis. The 5-year old and the 65-year old actually is considered the same because their immune systems are actually compromised. It's a fact. If a person says, "Can I get sunny side up eggs?" No, sir, I don't make that. Number one reason: a person can come to the restaurant and say, "Could I get sunny side up eggs?" And you say, "Well, is it to go?" They would say, "Well, it's to stay." Hopefully, you would, okay, they can eat the egg inside the restaurant. If they take those eggs out and then take it home, say the person lives an hour away, that is a problem right there. Within an hour, that egg can turn into a real problem for that person. I don't know. If you can avoid doing that, don't do it. I would have people with dentures say, "Can you make my burger with no lettuce?" You imagine a person with dentures as well. I don't, I don't perform as well as if when I had teeth. You have people with no teeth. These are the things that you got to understand that the book don't show you. A person with no teeth can't eat lettuce, gums. It's just going to slide around, and you would find it most elderly people will say, "Well, just give me a burger with no tomatoes and no onions and stuff like that." They just want to taste that burger. Italian sausage. I've had the experience where I started to steam my Italian sausages, and my wife was like, what are you doing?" The Italian sausages, well, especially Italian sausage. Italian sausages have a casing where they push the meat through, and they encase the meat and they wrap it. Unless you steam or you boil your sausages, people that have no teeth cannot eat that. And then you got the young ones that want to, well, I want it grilled, I want it this, and I wanted that. You gotta give yourself time to build experience. I know you can read, you can pass the test or whatever it is, but the first thing, like I said, make sure if you have a desire to become a food manager, a great business, by the way, don't don't enter the trade backwards. Just do it and do it right. If you have to go to college, you go to college. You got to go to some vocational course or whatever, you do it. You can make a lot of money in the food business if you do it and do it right. Let's go to another, say allergens, awareness of allergens, for instance, preventing cross contact, cross all major allergens. Storage and preparation. Let's move on to that. Separating raw meat, seafood. There's a list. I think when you go through inspection, they give you how to store fish, chicken, food that can drip, that has the potential to drip in the fridge. There's a certain way you have to store these foods. That's cross contamination. Okay. Now, a lot of people ask me about why do they need a commissary to, especially in the food truck, why do they need a commissary to operate a food truck? You can do two things in the food truck. I'm gonna leave the subject here for a minute. If you guys got any questions about the ServSafe, I'll be more than happy. Just type go ahead and type your questions. There's something called MFD. I've mentioned that many times. MFD means mobile food dispensing unit. That's your food truck. And then there's something called self-sufficient. What does that mean? Self-sufficient It means that you are your own commissary. I can't stress it enough. A lot of these, you'll be surprised. A lot of these inspectors do not even understand what I'm saying to you. All they want is a plan. Show me your plan. Is your hot water working? Is your microwave working? And then they either pass or fail. That's what they do. They don't understand what I'm talking about. Most of them don't understand, the mechanicals and things, stuff like that. They don't. That their job is to make sure you got hot water. Okay. You got everything else that their list. They have their own list that they want you to have. When you're self-sufficient, you don't need a commissary. What is a commissary? The word itself is confusing. It is confusing. A commissary is a place that you store your food, is a place that you cook your food. They charge you by the hour. Well, wait a minute. You might as well go to the commissary and buy food from Joe, because you do have people that do cook at the commissary. You can buy food from them and go sell the food outside. Why should you pay a commissary $1,000 a month and you have a food truck? Wait a minute, that don't make no sense. But if you have enough money, you can do your own commissary. Meaning that you have enough space to store your own food. If you have enough space to store your own food, more than likely you got a stove, you got a flat grill, and you got a grill, you got refrigeration and everything else. Okay? In that case, you are your own commissary. What about the dirty water? Oh, I saw that coming. The gray water, you can dump your gray water at an RV park. Well, you can do that. You got a 30-gallon tank, and then whenever you get ready, you go dump that water at an RV park. Here's something else. Depends on the state. You can have your own basin, actually, where you dump that water with something called a grease trap. A grease trap looks like a cinder block with 4 sections. When you dump the water in it, it separates the grease from the fluid, which is water, H2O. Now, the grease, what do you do with it's vegetable oil. When you're done frying, your oil kind of like the viscosity breaks down to the point where oil is smoking. You can't use it anymore. What do? You store it. You store your oil in the bin. You store your oil in some kind of something illegal, somewhere on concrete. And then actually these days, people are selling that oil. People are making biodiesel out of it. If you can't sell it, you pump it out and you take it to the commissary. I don't think they'll pay you for it, but certain cities, like the city of Orlando, they'll take it and make biodiesel and they do something with it. So you don't have to stress yourself about not understanding. Wow, I got this food truck. Code enforcement is on my ass. Orange County is on my ass. That county is on my ass. I can't park anywhere. You done spent 70 grand in a food truck. These people lobbied against you. Restaurants don't want you to survive. They don't want you to survive. If you have a food truck, you better have it where you understand the business in order for you to make money. And every time a code enforcer officer walk up to you, you know what you tell them? Write me up. I'll see you. I'll see you in court. Don't be afraid. Don't get nervous. Because once they write you up, whatever reason, most code enforcement officers write you up because somebody called and they have to come. Say, well, let's go to the board. What's the problem? The problem is you're parked in a C1 zone and the food truck has to be parked in a C2 zone. See, that comes from up top. You see what I'm saying? That comes from up top. A lot of lobbying. Restaurants hate food trucks. Shit, you can get out here and make $1,500 in one night. Shit, you kidding? You can come out here if you got the right barbecue and you got the right setup. $1,500 in one night, no time. I don't even like events. I like a good spot, and I'm done. Before you get into the food truck business, think about where you're going to park the food truck. The city of wherever you live, chances are they don't like food trucks. Okay, they don't like them, like I said, because of restaurants. They don't like them. You can turn your food truck into a restaurant. You can do like half food truck, half lounge, seat in. You can sell beer. There's a lot you can do. Okay, there's a I don't know. People love food trucks, but your city, your county, or whatever it is. Even though these guys they would come by from you, but they don't like food trucks because they're just told not to like food trucks. I mean, you can't have three food trucks in every corner, but a food truck is a very profitable business. So let's get back to ServSafe, okay? Um, any questions, anybody? No questions. All right. Well, go ahead and subscribe, guys. Leave a like. Encourage this channel, and let me go back to some more subjects as far as allergens and awareness, prevent cross contamination. Now, they don't want you to cook in your food truck. That's the whole. That's the whole commissary issue. They don't want you cooking in your food truck. They want you cooking in the commissary. Okay, let me tell you something. If you have a food truck that is not equipped to cook in, don't do it, because just say you're cooking chicken, right? Okay, you're cooking chicken. Chicken is raw. They don't want you cooking raw food. They want you to buy prepped food, like Restaurant Depot, your Costco's, and your Sam's, and everything else. They don't want you cooking because they feel as if you cook like you're cooking raw chicken, you're going to spread salmonella, which I agree to a degree. You're frying fish and then you're cleaning the fish. Think about it. I mean, I do a nice swai cod or sway. Some people say sway or swai. I do a nice swai cod with, corn flour, regular flour, and then, lemon and pepper seed. I mean, that kind of stuff they will allow. But if you're not a self-sufficient food truck, you can't. You really can't cook from scratch on your truck. They don't want that. I mean, that's from experience. I guess once upon a time we had an FDA. Today, I don't even know what's going on in this country, but it is a rule that you have to have a commissary. Now, people go to the commissary, they buy it one time, and then they get their license and be MIA for 10 years and shit. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way it is. You can get inspected anywhere. You can get inspected in your backyard. Now, the state of Georgia, however, I was reading, you can have your own commissary at home where you dump your stuff, and that's one of the states that give a poor man an opportunity to come up. Like if you live in Florida, Florida is nothing but to me, Florida is a state that is like self-destructive. If I had a chance to redo my business, I would never even step foot in Florida, which by the way, I'm selling I'm selling everything that I own and I'm moving up north. Florida's impossible for anything. They don't know what they want. It's a state of like a party of no and everything else. So I wouldn't, if you got plans to come to Florida to do a business as far as a restaurant, a food truck, don't waste your time. You will fail at 150%. Don't. Okay. Cleaning and sanitizing. Let's get into that subject. Cleaning and sanitizing. I have a flat grill that I heat it up when I clean it. I use lime. You get the bottle of lime, the lemon. Once you heat it up, you scuff it and everything, and then you just throw that lime all over it. People say, well, the lime is corrosive. There's nothing more corrosive than the greaser itself. Okay, don't use the greaser on your, in your appliances if you can help it, because the greaser is just a chemical, man. It's just bad. I use a stone, and actually I do a good job actually stoning the flat grill. As far as your char grills, don't use these grills, these brushes and stuff like that. Don't do that. You'll have an issue. A customer might get sick from the bristles of the brushes and stuff like that. Just use anything that's like a non-brush, a no bristle type of brush. Um, I don't know what I would recommend, but they do have grills out there that are brushless. Okay, so that way you don't have an issue. Your deep fryer. How I clean my deep fryers is I clean my deep fryer. I'll use Dawn, use regular soap. What I do is I turn it on at about 250 degrees and then let it do its thing. Here comes the rain. Yeah, that's all. Let's go back to another subject. If you have a business, a restaurant business, don't buy food from Tyrone, JoJo. Don't buy food from Scott down the street. Don't do that. Don't do that. Believe me, don't do that. Okay? I've had, oh man, hey man, what's up, man? I gotta, no. If you want to buy food, man, buy food from a reputable source. If somebody gets sick, you can go back up the ladder and find out who you bought this food from. All right? Okay. Sanitation. One of the main issues that I with myself, being inside of a food truck is like a very tight situation. You're like submariners in a submarine, right? I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Food truck have a lot of roaches. Okay, they do. They just do. Food, moist, darkness. I have a method that I can kill every bug that I see in that food truck and keep them killed. The problem is breathing the chemicals. I got a food truck that is zero roach, like roach free. I mean, they do come back. Believe me, I can't understand who in the hell came up with this creature called roaches. What are they? What do they serve? No one knows. But to tell you the truth, I have a method using vinegar and something else that I won't mention. I actually kill all the bugs, especially little spiders and stuff like that. We mop, we spray, we pressure wash. is now you got to breathe the chemicals. Like, oh God, oh, and then you sometimes you feel it, and it makes you dizzy. If you don't fumigate, if you don't spray, I'm not talking about black flag. I'm talking about professionally. You will have an issue with bugs. Another the test itself is like 75. I think 75 correctly. You answer 60 questions out of 80. It takes about 90 minutes. Last time I took the ServSafe, it was like I had a proctor. The guy was online, and he proctored me. And then when you get to the 60 questions, once you pass 60 questions, it kind of like rings and stuff, and it's over. Yeah. So if you don't have a ServSafe certificate, you can't move on in the restaurant business. No, you can't. It also covers, storing food, receiving and storing food. Like if you receive certain types of, if you do seafood, for instance, if you do like shellfish, that stuff is dangerous. That's something they take really serious. If you do shellfish, you might want to recalculate as if like your thoughts were like, okay, well, I receive canned goods and stuff like that because shellfish is dated different. You might want to look that up. Okay. Even after you serve shellfish to someone, you still have to keep records. Obviously, the methods of thawing, cooking, cooling, and reheating. Now, there is a method of heating and there's a method of cooling. For instance, chili. I remember way back when I was a kid in New York, some lady bought coffee from McDonald's. She was a bus driver, and then coffee was too hot, spilled on her lap. She ended up suing McDonald's because the temperature wasn't regulated. From that time, they regulated coffee at a certain temperature that wouldn't burn anybody. You got to know these. It's not a joke. People get killed from bad food. People get sick from bad food. And to me, a lot of it is more like negligence than anything. So, you guys have any questions of anything I've spoke about so far? Let me know. I'm going to pause back a little bit. Leave some comments and hey, subscribe to the channel, guys. So I believe I've been here 43 minutes and 41 seconds counting. I don't know. Any questions, anyone? I'm going to end this live. Until the next video, please subscribe. Be nice with the comments. I'm not, I don't mind the critics, but over and out. Chef John, Restaurant Geeks and Grab and Go Concessions.